Hi and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll tell you about lane changing. So there's two types of lane changing, digital and analog. I'll start with the analog. It's really basic. If you come in on this side, I'll just quickly demonstrate with this Cadillac. Come in on this side, you end up on this side. If you're on this side and this side, that's it basically. The tracks are separated. If you've got an analog set, you obviously need two of these to keep the tracks separate, or multiple of two, so you can have 4 or 8 or 6 or whatever. You can still use these with digital, but you know, all it does is it changes. You can't choose which lane you change to. So compare and contrast that with this digital lane changing track here. Key differences: it's longer, so it's three half straights or 1.5 straights, and you can see here, rather than this analog one which is fixed, it's got these selectable sort of triangular lane changing devices here, which are metal conductive, and they can be moved to allow the car to swap. So let me show you again with the Cadillac. So I'm going to move the triangle down so the car goes straight, move the little triangle, there we go, and yeah, simple as that really. So how does it work? This is one question I was thinking when I bought this last year. I couldn't work out how it works, but I think I've worked it out. So with analog, the motor turns in proportion to how much you pull the trigger, and it applies a DC current to the track. So if you pull full throttle, it puts 12 volts to the track. If half throttle, 6 volts, and you've got no throttle, it's 0 volts, and it's as simple as that. Digital works in a different way. Now you see here I've got this old digital power base, and I've got my multimeter here which is plugged in, ready to go, and it's set to AC. So you can see here I've got nothing plugged in. I've got it plugged in, but I've got no throttle on. But I just put the probes on there, look, you can see I've got nearly 14 volts AC going to the track, which means that the track is always powered. Now if I go back to the digital track here, see it's got these little boxes on the bottom which contain the solenoids which are in here. But the key thing with this is these little sensors in here, which are what does the controlling of this piece of track. Right, so how does the car control the track? Well, if I look at this car here, I've got nothing on the bottom. It's an analog car. I've not converted this one yet. But if I bring up this Veyron, you can see here this has got a digital ready chip on the bottom. Well, it's a digital DPR chip, 8515 Scalextric chip. You can see here it's got this tiny little infrared LED here, which is what does the controlling. Now I'm not sure what the protocol is exactly, but basically I think how it works is it's always transmitting, and when the car passes over the sensor, it says whether to change lanes or not. Now I'll quickly demonstrate. So you saw it click then. I think it was a bit in between states, but on the back of this old wired digital controller, I'm going to press, well, actually no I'm not, I'm going to just plug this in. I'm going to let that go. Right, now, so if I just drive the car along to the end of the track, nothing happens, didn't change. Now if I do it again, but I hold the lane change button, do that, you see the lane changed. So let me just show you how that works. Now I think I can do it with no throttle. So finger on the lane change button like that, just push it over, there we go. If I do it without no changes, there you go, simple as that. It's really neat actually, it's really clever. The track takes all its power from the track. You don't need to wire anything to it, so you can put as many of these in as you want. Now one thing to note is if you've got old tyres like this Veyron has, and it slides like you wouldn't believe, if you're coming over the track sideways like that, you can just about see, if you've really got a lot of lock on, you can potentially miss the lane changing. So if you are designing your track, it's good to have either at least a half straight or a full straight before, so to make sure the car is in a straight line to actuate the lane changing. Now at the moment, this is the only lane changing track that I think Scalextric sell. They used to sell a radius 2 single lane change, so you could change from the inner track to the outer track, or the outer track to the inner track, but I'm pretty sure that's been discontinued now. You can pick them up on eBay. I've got one, but I choose not to use it on my track because the cars are sideways at that point and they don't always set the lane changing off. But you can see here, this is a pit lane piece, and this is something that you can use with digital, and it works in exactly the same way. In fact, I'll demonstrate. So you can see here, this is your main straight with the pit lane going off. So again, cars here, and it goes from 1 to 2. So if you want to go from, I don't know, 4 lanes down to 2 lanes, you might have one of those on either side. Or sorry, if you want to go from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, you'd have one of those on the other side. But it works in exactly the same way as the lane change. So here we go. See there, I didn't have the button pressed. I can press it again. On the button, lane changes, car goes into the pit. It's nice and simple, works in exactly the same way as that piece of lane changing technology. So one final thing with that, demonstrated using the old digital power base, but with the new Arc Pro, this too has got the sensors, but it's got a much more sophisticated sensor. It's actually got a blade sensor in there. Now each car is paired to a colour, so you've got 6 cars on the track, and I don't know the protocol, but basically this must be transmitting the number of the car through the little infrared chip. And what this sensor does is it picks up the identity of the car, or the ID number of the car, and it records with the little blade sensor in there when the car passes a line. So it knows exactly the time it passed the finish line last time, and it can give you a lap time. So the key thing to remember is, and I found this out to my cost, if you're doing a conversion, like I showed you how to do on the Porsche and on the LMP Pro, the key thing to do is that this distance between the back of the blade and the little infrared sensor is about, I don't know, 7 or 8 millimeters. That I found is absolutely key. So if you're doing this conversion, make sure that that distance is set right, because if you don't, the Arc Pro won't work. If you're just using the old digital power base, it doesn't matter, but it's absolutely key with the Arc Pro. So that's it, digital lane changing, in fact analog lane changing. I hope that's been useful, hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoy my videos. If you have enjoyed my video, please give me a like and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, bye.